Verbs play an important role in all sentences. Here is what they do. The verbs tell what action is taking or state of being is described. The tenses announce when the action takes place: now, present, some time ago, past, or some time in the future, future. Think of it like this: past, last night I was sad. Present, today I am happy. Future, tomorrow I will go to school. The verbs change depending on whether they refer A, to oneself or ourselves, I, we, which is called first person; B, to a person or persons spoken to, you, which is called second person; C, to a person, place, or thing spoken about, she, he, it, which is called third person. The verbs also change when they apply to one person, called singular, or to more than one person, called plural. Notice how the verbs and pronouns which take the place of nouns change from singular to plural, and for first person, second person, and third person. Let's read the following chart together. First person singular: I am, I was, I will be. Second person singular: you are, you were, you will be. Third person singular: he, she, it is, he, she, it was, he, she, it will be. The first person plural: we are, you were, we shall be. Second person plural: you are, you were, you will be. Third person plural: they are, they were, they will be. How can you keep all these rules in mind every time you use a verb in a sentence, which is every time you write a sentence? In the following story, I demonstrate how to apply these rules. In the sidebar, verb tenses, I named the subject and the verb used in each sentence. Let's read the story together. With each paragraph, we will read the think aloud comments, the sentences in the red, which explain why the writer, Sally, chose each verb tense. Never Say Never by Sally. Think aloud. In the first paragraph, I will introduce myself, but mostly the cat, Moggy. I will use the present tense because this paragraph describes the present. I refer to myself as I and to my cat as she. I love my cat, Moggy. She's charming, loving, and totally loyal. Look at her coat, her beautiful multicolored fur. I love her soft and fluffy fur coat. Just listen to her purr as she curls up on my lap. It is heavenly. Think aloud. I started one sentence with the verb look. The subject is implied or understood to be you. I had to use it in the last sentence because I was referring to an experience which requires a third person singular, it. Think aloud. In the second paragraph, I will begin to write about something that happened a few days ago, the disappearance of my cat. So I will use the past tense. I still will use the present tense for some of the things I want to say about myself. I will finish the paragraph by talking about the future, so I will use the future tense. Since I will speak mostly about myself, I will use the singular personal pronoun I. 3 days ago, Moggy walked away from our tent in Jasper Park in the middle of the night and never returned for days. I practically grew up with Moggy, and I cannot be without her for a single day. I cannot eat or sleep without her. Will I never see her again? Think aloud. In the third paragraph, I will talk about my cat, how she's managing without me. I will write in the present. I will wonder about whether I will ever see her again, so I will use the future tense. Since I will talk mostly about my cat in the third paragraph, I will use the third person singular she. Since I will send the paragraph wondering about the future, I will use the singular future tense, will I. Just imagine how Maggie feels without me. I'm sure she's very lonely. She needs me to hold her, feed her, and put her to bed. Is she lost? Has someone taken her home? I hope she's not hurt. Will she find her way back to her tent in the park? Is she out there under the tall trees close to her tent? Does she remember where we set up our tent? Will I ever find her? All these questions are racing through my mind. Think aloud. In the last sentence, I used a complicated verb, are racing, which I cannot explain. It just sounds right. Think aloud. In the fourth paragraph, I will talk about how for 3 days we tried to find my cat. Hence, I will write in the past. I will use the third person singular to write about how my family was involved in searching for my cat. For 3 days, my dad, mum, brother, and I searched for Maggie. We searched in the bush around our tent. We did not find any clues to help us in our search. Dad drove to the nearest town and asked people if they had seen a cat that matched the picture we had of Maggie. Mum placed a lost and found notice in the local paper. The local radio station gave a detailed description of Maggie. Nobody had seen our cat. Think aloud. In the fifth paragraph, I will describe my surprise when my cat showed up at our tent. Again, this happened in the past. Therefore, I will use the past tense. I will write mostly about Maggie and myself. Hence, I will use the first person singular for myself and the third person singular for Maggie. On the fourth day, our family, without Maggie, sat down for dinner. Nobody was hungry, but we ate something so that we could continue our search. Just as we finished our dessert, I heard a faint meow. I listened up. Was that Maggie calling for me, or was I just imagining things again? I listened again and stared in the direction of the sound of a cat. You will not believe it. There was Maggie running out of the forest towards us. She darted straight at me. Think aloud. There's one exception when I use the expression "you will not believe it" to express my surprise. I use the second person singular person plural you. Think aloud. In the sixth and closing paragraph, I will use a mixture of tenses as I was thinking about how Maggie felt when she was lost. Again, since I will write mostly about Maggie and myself, I will use the first person singular for myself and the third person singular for Maggie. Maggie looked healthy without a scratch on her. What had she done? Nobody will ever know. I guess she just went for a walk, a very long walk, but she came back. I was so happy I drew a picture of Maggie and myself. Thanks for listening. Try the following activities to find out how well you understand verb tenses. After you have watched the tutorial, go to sponsorvillage.ca for assignments and tenses. Go to Grammar in the top navigation bar and click on Tenses and Simple Tense Sentences. To send any questions you may have about grammar, go to Sponsor Village and click on Ask Dr. Otto. I will reply to your questions as quickly as possible.